Hello Internet and welcome to this day in history for the 25th of October. I have been requested to perhaps give some updates on who's who in these videos, so if anyone wants to know some of the names in this particular video, I will put them in the description below. Now, where are we today? Well, there are several places we could have been today, because today was the day in the old style where the October Revolution in Russia began. There was the Battle of Leyte Gulf, and there has been many others, such as the Reconquista of Spain. But more specifically, today is St. Crispin's Day, where the Saints Crispin and Crispianus was executed under the reign of Diocletian, the Roman emperor, back in 285. Now, we're not going that far back, but as anyone who has read even the slightest bit of Shakespeare will know, St. Crispin's Day is relevant in 1415 during the 100 Years' War, as it was today that Henry V of England took his lightly armored infantry and longbow archers to defeat the French at the Battle of Agincourt. So yes, we are in northern France. The Battle of Agincourt was the latest round of fighting in the 100 Years' War between France and England, or rather between England and France, since it basically started when the English decided they wanted to be the right guys for the French throne, and the French decided no, they were absolutely not. The war had begun fairly strongly for the British, having dominated the first 20 or so years until the French got their act together in the 1370s and the 1380s. After that, a long truce followed until Henry V once more decided in the 1410s that it was time to get back on the horse, so to speak, and invaded northern France at the head of his army. Now, several things happened in these years, and there were several reasons for it. Of course, there were the primary reason of just wanting to become King of France, as he believed was his birthright. But as the Council of Constance took place at the exact same time, it might also have been at least in the back of Henry's head that if we could disturb the French quite a bit, then our commissioners alongside the Germans might in fact put together a compromise that would unite the Catholic Church again, perhaps under someone we would find appropriate rather than unlike the last 30, 40 or so years where the Pope had been sitting as basically a French vassal in Avignon. So, Henry gathered up his army and invaded northern France. He plundered and conquered across Normandy until finally a massive French force brought him to a halt at Agincourt. He had to break through to get back to his fleet and reach England, as his men were starving at this point and racked by disease. Now, I'm not going to go deep into this battle. One day I will make an actual Agincourt video, and also, of course, Agincourt is something that plenty of other people have made videos about should you be interested, not to mention the immense amount of movies and books that has been made and written about the whole thing. The point was, however, that in the third of the great British victories during the 100 Years' War, Henry's outnumbered troops utilized the power of their crossbow and the muddy conditions of the field to put the French to a brutal defeat, probably even more terrifyingly catastrophic than the Battle of Portier some 60 years prior that I have made a video about and which I will link below. The cream of the French society, the cream of its nobility was destroyed. Its armies scattered and its position as the ruling power of Europe was broken. This led, of course, to a dominated settlement at the Council of Constance. I will also link my video about the Council of Constance below. It also led to Henry becoming engaged to the French king's daughter as part of the peace settlement, as well as making him and his heirs, rather, the heirs to the throne of France. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you see things, Henry died early, allowing allowing the French to weasel out of that appointment and continue their own bloodlines with a new royal house, while Henry's son was a rather ineffectual ruler that, while holding on to the throne for quite a while, allowed dissidence and weakness to set into England, allowing them to finally be kicked out of France and losing the 100 Years' War to Joan of Arc some 40-odd years later, and also eventually losing his throne and his life during the War of the Roses. All of this, however, was a minor thing on this day where the British inflicted on the French probably the single greatest defeat they ever suffered militarily in the High Middle Ages. So yes, the Battle of Agincourt, this day in history for the 25th of October. I hope this has been of interest to you. Until next time, I have been the Sage, and I wish you all a very happy day.